Thousands of years ago, the world was in a peaceful state. But suddenly an evil entity named Morgoth appeared and started destruction, including the destruction of the tree in Valinor that gave light to Valinor. Because of this, a lot of elves left Valinor to Middle-earth and joined the war against Morgoth. After centuries of war, Morgoth was finally defeated. But Morgoth's servant Sauron took command over the orcs. The elf named Finrod dies searching for Sauron. There was a mark made by Sauron on Finrod's body. Finrod's sister Galadriel leads a group of elves in search of Sauron and finds an abandoned fortress in the northern wastelands of Fordwaith where they find Sauron's mark. Sauron and the orcs have not been seen in years, so everyone except Galadriel thinks he's dead. So her companions insist on returning to Lindon, which is the capital of High Elves. When they reach there, Galadriel meets her best friend Elrond and tells him about her wish to continue the search. But the High King Gil-galad proclaims the war is over, and he grants Galadriel and her company the honor of sailing to Valinor, where they can live an eternal life at peace. In the Southlands of Middle-earth, there are elves stationed to watch over men who are descendants of allies of Morgoth. One elf among them, named Eärendil, has feelings for a human healer named Bronwyn, even though other elves and humans don't like it. After seeing a sick cow, which went to the village of Hordern, Eärendil and Bronwyn go there and discover that the village has been destroyed. Meanwhile, Bronwyn's son Theo finds a broken sword bearing Sauron's mark. While Galadriel's ship is nearing Valinor, she chooses to turn back and continue the search for Sauron, and she jumps from the ship into the sundering seas. At the same time, a Harfoot named Nori Brandyfoot discovers a strange man inside a meteor crater. She tries to help this man who has magical powers. At first, her friend Poppy Proudfellow tries to stop her from this, but Nori somehow convinces her. While swimming, Galadriel comes across a raft with human survivors of a shipwreck. But they are suddenly attacked by a sea monster. Only one human among them, named Halbrand, survives along with Galadriel. Halbrand is from the Southlands, and he is fleeing from orcs. He and Galadriel somehow survive a storm. Nori and Poppy keep the man hidden from the other Harfoots and give him food and shelter. Even though he doesn't speak their language, he controls fireflies through magic to tell them that he is searching for a group of stars. While Eärendil was investigating tunnels beneath Hordern, he gets captured. Bronwyn returns back to her village to tell the villagers about Hordern, but an orc attacks her and Theo. They somehow kill it, and by showing its head to the villagers, she convinces them to leave the village. Elrond has now reached a region to assist the great elven smith Celebrimbor, who is planning to build a powerful new forge. Elrond goes to Khazad-dûm and meets his old friend Prince Durin to seek help from the dwarves. Durin is angry because Elrond has not visited him in 20 years, but his wife Dissa convinces him to forgive Elrond and hear Elrond's proposal. A ship picks up Galadriel and Halbrand. Captain of this ship is Elendil. He takes them to the island kingdom of Numenor, which was given to the men who supported the elves during the war against Morgoth by the elves. But now the island doesn't keep a relationship with the elves. The Queen Regent Miriel denies Galadriel's request for a ship back to Middle-earth. Galadriel visits the Library of Lore in Numenor with Elendil and finds out that the Mark of Sauron is actually a map of the Southlands, and Sauron and the orcs are planning to build a new realm there, where evil will flourish. She also discovers that Halbrand is the heir to the throne of the Southlands. She then meets Halbrand, who is now imprisoned after fighting some Numenorians. She tells Halbrand that she has found a secret and requests him to unite the Southlands and support her in the war against Sauron. In the Southlands, Eärendil, who is captured by the orcs, is taken to a construction camp digging tunnels. He and some other elves who have also been captured try to escape, but some of those elves get killed. Eärendil is taken to the leader of the orcs, whom the orcs call Adar. The man Nori helped is revealed to the other Harfoots while he was trying to read some star maps. When the Harfoots start their seasonal migration, they let him join them, and he pushes the Brandyfoot wagon since Nori's father is injured. Galadriel tells about her discoveries to Miriel and seeks her help to defend the Southlands. Miriel refuses to help and has Galadriel imprisoned when Galadriel offends her. Adar releases Eärendil and tells him to deliver a message to the Southlanders. Theo returns to Tirharad to get supplies. But he is attacked by orcs who were searching for the broken sword, and now they know that Theo has the sword. Arender saves him from them. Waldredge tells Theo that the sword is a gift for Southlanders from Sauron. Arender tells Bronwyn about the message of Adar, which is the Southlanders can either forsake their claim to the area and swear fealty to Adar, or be destroyed. In a region, the elves and dwarves begin building the forge. Elrond suspects that Durin is hiding something from him, and he finds out that Durin has been mining a powerful new or named Mithril, and makes a promise to Durin that he will keep this a secret. Galadriel escapes prison and goes to the tower of King Tar-Palantir, and finds out that he is Bedreddin. Miriel explains that when her father became the king, he wanted to renew the relations with the elves, but a rebellion happened because of this, and Miriel was placed on the throne. This gave her access to a Palantir, and it showed her a vision of Numenor being destroyed in a tsunami. She believes that Galadriel's arrival will cause this, and she decides to send Galadriel back to Lindon. But when Galadriel starts to leave, the petals of Numenor's white tree begins to fall, and Miriel thinks that this is a sign from the Vala, and she decides to accompany Galadriel to the Southlands along with some other Numenorians, including the son of Elendil named Isildur and his friends. While migrating, the Harfoots are attacked by a wolf. The stranger saves them, but he injures himself using magic to scare the wolves off. When he tries to heal himself using magic, he accidentally hurts Nori and frightens her. In the Tower of Ostirith in the Southlands, Waldredge convinces half of the Southlanders there to join the orcs, as it is much safer after knowing about the message from Adar. Theo tells Arender about the broken sword and shows it to him. Arender thinks that it is a key that was designed to enslave the Southlanders, and he tells this to Bronwyn. In Lindon, Gil-galad reveals to Elrond that he knows about Mithril and believes it can stop the fading of power of the elves in Middle-earth. Elrond tells Durin about this, and Durin decides to help the elves, and both of them return to Khazad-dûm to convince Durin's father. Tar-Palantir warns Miriel not to go to Middle-earth after knowing about her journey. Later, Galadriel tells Miriel that Halbrand will join them to claim the throne of the Southlands. But Halbrand refuses to do so when Galadriel tries to convince him, and he says that Galadriel was using him all along for her personal purposes. Galadriel then apologizes to him, and finally Halbrand decides to go. Numenor's ships then depart for the Southlands. Adar and the orcs reaches Ostirith and finds it abandoned. It was actually a trap, and Arender collapses the tower on them. He and the rest of the Southlanders return to Tirharad and prepares for a battle with the surviving orcs. Galadriel, Halbrand, and the Numenorians have almost reached the Southlands. Arender tries to destroy the broken sword, but he is unsuccessful, so he hides it. During nighttime, the orcs reaches Tirharad, but Arender and the Southlanders manages to kill them. But they're shocked when they realize that most of the enemies they just killed were people who followed Waldredge to join the orcs. Orcs who were hiding fire arrows at them and kill some of them and injure Bronwyn. Adar and the orcs arrives, and Theo reveals the location of the broken sword to save Bronwyn's life. The Numenorians arrive on horseback on time and kill some orcs and captures the remaining ones. Meanwhile, Adar tries to escape with the broken sword, but Galadriel and Halbrand captures him and interrogate him. Adar says that he killed Sauron. Miriel reveals Halbrand's identity to the Southlanders, and he is hailed as the king of the Southlands. Theo finds out that the broken sword is missing. Waldredge has escaped with it, and he uses it to open the shutters of a dam near Ostirith, thus sending water through the tunnels that were made by the orcs, and the water falls into a lava chamber beneath the mountain Aradruin. This causes an eruption that covers the Southlands. Galadriel wakes up, covered in ash, and sees the destruction just happened. Everything has been destroyed. She then finds Theo. Miriel has lost her eyesight, and Elendil's son Isildur is presumed dead. The Harfoots arrive at their destination, but it has been destroyed by the volcano eruption. While trying to fix this land, the stranger endangers Nori and her sister. The scared Harfoots shows him the path where he might find answers to his questions. So he leaves them. The next day, the Harfoots find out that the land has been turned back to normal. 3 women with magical powers arrive in search of the stranger. Nori attempts to misdirect them, This enrages them, and they burn all the Harfoot caravans. Galadriel and Theo reach the Numenorian camp and reunite with Bronwyn, Arendar, and an injured Halbrand. Most of the Numenorians depart on their ships. Miriel has promised Galadriel that the Numenorians will return. Galadriel takes Halbrand to Elven lands to receive elvish medicine. Meanwhile, Elrond and Durin fail to convince Durin's father to help the elves. They are caught while mining mithril in secret, and Elrond is banished, taking a small piece of mithril with him. Durin is stripped of his royal status, and his father seals the mine. But nobody is realizing that a Balrog is living deep below the mine. The orcs have made Southlands their own, and renames it as Mordor. The three women find the stranger and tell him that he is Sauron. Galadriel and Halbrand arrive in Eregion, and Halbrand receives medical care. While he was talking to Celebrimbor after his recovery, Halbrand sees mithril and suggests a way to create a small object with it without lowering its original qualities. Miriel and Elendil reach Numenor and find out that Tar Palantir has died. Nori and some other Harfoots find the stranger and attempt to rescue him from the women. The stranger realizes that he is not Sauron after hearing some encouraging words from Nori, and he uses magic to banish the women to the unseen world. He got some of his memories back during this. He now knows that he is a wizard, and he tells Nori that he needs to travel east to the land of Ron. Nori decides to go with him. Doubts arise in Galadriel's mind after some incidents, and she reviews records of the bloodline of kings of the Southlands and discovers that there is no surviving member from that bloodline now, and Halbrand is lying about his identity. She confronts him, and he reveals himself to be Sauron. He asks her to join him, but she refuses, and he flees to Mordor. Galadriel does not reveal this to anyone and encourages Celebrimbor to move forward with the plan of making objects with mithril. She convinces him to make 3 objects instead of 2. Elrond finds the records of the bloodline of kings of the Southlands and goes to the forge to talk to Galadriel about this. When he reaches there, he sees that the 3 rings of power have been forged.